Anna had known cold and hunger since childhood. Her world was painted in the shades of faded fabric and the smell of old dust. So when Robert, the heir to a steel empire, with his cold eyes and impeccable manners, proposed marriage, it seemed like salvation. A salvation that turned out to be a gilded cage. Marriage was a bargain, her youth and beauty in exchange for financial security for her ailing mother. Robert received the perfect accessory wife, quiet, grateful, uncomplaining. But the tyranny began almost immediately. First, it was jokes about her common manners over an elegant dinner. Then came criticism for laughing too loudly, for the wrong dress, for a look he deemed empty. Isolation was his main weapon. He alienated her from her few friends, controlled her correspondence, and instilled in her the idea that the world beyond the walls of their mansion was hostile, and that she was too weak and naive to survive in it without him. "You're worthless without me, Anna," he repeated, carefully breaking the bread. "Remember to whom you owe everything that surrounds you." The years had become a dreary series of humiliations. Her soul, once vibrant and dreamy, was dying. She thought there was no escape. Her mother, finally receiving expensive treatment, was happy and healthy, believing in her daughter's future. It was impossible to shatter this illusion. Despair had become her shadow. The turning point came on a rainy Thursday. Robert, irritated by business losses, broke his crystal glass at dinner and, accusing Anna of messing up with the wine, ordered her to kneel and pick up the shards with her bare hands. Kneeling on the cold marble, feeling the searing pain of the cut, she looked at the drops of her blood mingling with the expensive red wine. And at that moment, something inside her did not break, but hardened, like the steel in her husband's factory. The plan didn't emerge immediately. It matured over months, quietly and patiently. She realized that to win, she had to play by his rules, but with his weapons. Her modesty and submissiveness became her mask. She began to listen attentively, not just to hear insults, but to listen to his phone conversations, his discussions of business with his partners. She asked permission to attend social events, so as not to embarrass you with my ignorance, my dear. Flattered, he granted it. At these events, Anna was no longer a frightened mouse. She was an attentive student. She quietly struck up light, non-committal conversations with lawyers, accountants, and the wives of competitors. She memorized names, titles, snippets of information. At home, under the pretext of wanting to better understand her husband's world, she persuaded Robert to allow her access to his library of financial literature. At night, while he slept, she pored over reports, marriage and inheritance laws, and studied the structure of his companies. She discovered his main weakness, an offshore company through which he funneled money, evading taxes. She learned about his secret mistress, for whom he bought expensive gifts, writing them off as business expenses. She learned about a shady deal with city officials that was about to be concluded. Anna proceeded cautiously. She made no copies or notes. Everything was stored in her memory. She began collecting evidence bit by bit. An old friend of her late father's, a retired lawyer to whom she had secretly written from a false address, became her secret ally. He taught her what information and in what form to present it for it to carry weight. The culmination came in preparation for Robert's biggest deal yet, the acquisition of a competitor. All his resources were invested in her. His reputation was on the line. On the eve of the contract signing, when Robert was at the height of his confidence, Anna made her move. She donned her simplest dress, the very same one she'd worn when she arrived at this house years ago. She entered his office, where he was celebrating his imminent victory with a glass of cognac. "Robert, we need to talk," she said, in a voice that didn't waver a single note. He smiled condescendingly. "Not now, Anna. Adults have things to do." Then she placed an inconspicuous folder on his desk. It contained offshore account numbers, dates and amounts of suspicious transactions, the names of officials involved in the deal, and even a printout of correspondence with his mistress in which he spoke unflatteringly of his own partners. And a short letter from a lawyer prepared to present this information to the tax authorities, the prosecutor's office, and Robert's company board of directors, if anything prevented his client, Anna, from filing for divorce. "What is this?" he hissed, and for the first time in years, his eyes flashed not with malice, but with animal fear. Fear of the collapse of everything he'd built. "This is my way out, Robert," Anna replied quietly. "I thought there was none, but I was wrong. The way out is always when you stop being a victim and start thinking." She didn't shout, didn't accuse. She simply laid out the facts and her conditions. A quick divorce with a substantial, clearly defined settlement that would ensure her and her mother's complete freedom. Otherwise, there would be a public scandal, criminal prosecution, and the collapse of the empire. Robert looked at her, and there was something new in his gaze, not contempt, but an icy, almost professional respect. He realized he had lost. And he had lost to someone he considered a nobody.